always putting the top back on your bottle. Just get into the habit of it. That's my oil done on either side of the vertebra. And I can be a bit further out as well when I've got a broad back to cover all of the back. The main part is up the middle because of the muscles. Figure of 8, foot hand down, out round deltoid, pulling in trapezius, pivot, deltoid, trapezius, pivot, pull, pivot, and pull. So I'm still just over shoulders. If that hip one isn't down enough, or if I need more oil, I can add. You'll have coasters, so that won't necessarily go there. Too much oil means you can't do some of the deeper work, so if that means you have to let it go onto the towel.
Did you miss the thumb strokes?
I did, sorry. Thumb strokes. So I'm leaning from my back leg. So my thumbs, arms, shoulders straight. And you just do this once. You're just seeing what's going on in close to those vertebrae. I let pressure off here, but let that just go up round the occipital ridge, back down, and then you're doing thumb circles. So here's the sacroiliac joint and thumb circles. I'm doing this once, but you can do it 2 or 3 times, and you can be, if you have smaller hands and broader shoulders, and you're doing a smaller circle, you can do 2 rows and move the rows to meet this. I'm doing hips now. Thank you.
I thought I'd actually zoned out and completely missed it.
So you petrissage. So it's a picking up and move. Both hands work equally. So I'm on the hips, below hips and waist. Push and pull. Pull with the fingers, push with the heel of the hands. But it's a smooth move. Let your head hand rest. But you can get, I've said heel and thenar kneading. And I'm in the waist area as well as the top of the hips. Then an effleurage on that area, and you take yourself around to the other hip. Petrissage. And you're kneading. Effleurage. And you keep bringing in full back effleurage is it keeps the moves connected and keeps the body warm, or at least it keeps you checking the temperature of the body. So I've worked below the waist and I'm working from the waist up.
Crisscross stroke of the lower back.
You can do crisscross of the lower back as well. This just connects both moves.
Just what it's in the notes.
Yes.
Where's that going? And then effleurage full back.
But when I do this, it's hands, but look at my forearms are also coming into it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
I hadn't mentioned forearms up until now, but I realised I was actually doing it there. So your petrissage. So this is the nice broad petrissage that we talked about, and we did the last weekend. But this weekend we've added the shorter version, tighter version of it. Sliding your hand down and hooking your wrist in under the arm and lifting it out to the side. Arms are heavy when they're a dead weight. Petrissage over deltoids, back in over trapezius. I'm making the move smaller, just more focused. Your thumb strokes on the lateral border. It's tender, so go slow, and you can go lighter and then deeper, and coming right up to the back of the arm. Come round the inferior angle and find that medial border. It'll stand up and meet you with some people, and then you have to find it with others. And you can use your thenar or hypothenar. Hypothenar is this one, thenar is this one. So I'm just resting this hand here, it's not adding pressure, but I'm in this triangle, so I'm over teres major, teres minor and infraspinatus. If you do this deep over the bone, the ridges, it hurts. So you can use that hand, or you can use this hand, or you can alternate between the two of them. Your thumb frictions, your thumb circular frictions. So you're over the trapezius, you're over rhomboids as well, which is beneath that. So just to get your hands used to those moves. You can rest your fingers this way either, I like them that way. And then this, when you're coming up, this is the belly of trapezius. Your fingers are lifting the trapezius, but you're not grabbing it. You have to be above the clavicle, but it just leaves the tissue supported so you can work into it. Effleurage. And you're coming over to do the same on the other shoulder. Shoulder and side. You have to see how much you can do frictions with your thumbs, that way your hands might not be used to this. If they are getting tired at this stage, use your fingers instead of your thumbs. So I'm using pressure from these fingers to help the other fingers to do those circular moves. And then I'm coming back to my thumbs, supporting here.
Leading neck.
So if you have hair, I want your hands just taking the hair out of the way, but I don't want you resting this top hand on the head. Just dropping stuff off. Yeah, so you're coming right up in around the occipital ridge when you come. So go slow. Those attachment points can be tender. And you're sliding into an effleurage, and you're going to do hacking and cupping. Yeah. It's the side of your little finger. And nice loose hands. It's not a chop. And you can lose coordination, that's okay, you just start again. The cupping, not slapping. You're fanning. So the fingers point towards the head closed and they open to the side. It's between a 45 and a 90 degree open, that's all. And it's the flat of your fingers, not the palms. I want you to step out to the side when you're doing work from the top. Your hands come down, go up over the towel. Don't want you leaning in over your client. Up to the side, down, round, in, turn to come up to the occiput and turn back, and then lift as you stand up, down, up onto the towel, out, in at the side and come into, and you're just pulling right up over them, and you do those two moves once and that's your finish. Hand goes straight on and you replace the underwear, cover the back up with the towels. Towel comes in and you push it under. Because the knees are supported with pillows, there will be a gap here. And just for that second, this towel is always at waist level, and then you just say, John, will you lift your knee for me, please? Done. And then this towel slides up on the outside, so with a little tug on it, and you just tuck that towel in, and you get to take the underwear up as far as is comfortable for your client, and it gives you full access to the leg. You can press, make sure that towel, if you might need to recheck that it's not in place, and then place your hands for a moment. Again, just it's a conversation with the skin. One hand on top of the other. It's probably the most way I'll use this move. It's an effleurage and it's applying oil. And the towels are my boundaries. For leg effleurage, transferring the weight in your legs, keeping your back straight. And then you're up to do your petrissage. So you're in at adductors, gracilis, hamstrings. our ITB band up to the bottom of the glutes. No pressure over the popliteal area. Then your push and your pull, and it's a lift from both sides, but follow the towel line. How can you go? No,
Push both, connecting afresh.
connected after that. Down, and your petrissage. So I'm over gastrocnemius, or gastrocnemius, and soleus. Slide in under and work either side of the Achilles tendon. Then that's a stretch on the Achilles, thumb strokes, and it takes you straight in to a stocking seam. I come back sometimes over that, maybe if I think my line is out and I feel nice tight knots, like I do in John's leg. And your hacking and cupping. Hacking's not always suitable for a lower leg. Skip the popliteal area. And effleurage. And down off the sole of the foot. Don't run your fingers off the sole of the foot, it can tickle.
It's not petrissage the calf.
I did petrissage the calf.
Sleep you.
I did, I started with it, didn't I? I did. And you know what the beauty of this is? It's on tape. Tucking towel in here, this one's in place, and lift your knee, done. Towel comes up. Towel comes up. Connect. We'll use a little bit more oil with hairy legs. You have a little bruise in there.
Connecting afresh.
Right. So thumbs working one side and fingers are working the other side, and then stroking the back of the Achilles tendon. Your stocking seams. That's a good one. You can feel where muscles are particularly tight, and they can be very tender in the belly of that. That's areas you might come back to. Towels back. It's good to get the towels exactly where they need to be for your client turning. It makes everything smoother. If my client's half asleep, I usually say, how are you doing there? We're getting ready to turn. So you can, and then just bend your knees for me. You take the supports out first, they just complicate the turn. And then you're holding the towels and you're anchoring them here at the side with your legs, and you're just reaching over, and when you have the two ends, and wherever you're ready, John, I want you to shimmy down off the face rest and over onto your back for me. Anything around my throat, so I always take it off. And get your client lined up on the centre of the plinth. So you don't have to with John, but I can be saying move over this way or move over this way. And to relax legs, you just roll. I'm not lifting them at all. I've just got my hands in at the Achilles tendon, but I'm rolling them. That rocking allows them to relax, and it relaxes hips. And then you go, and I need you to bend your knees for me, John, please. And get your pillows in. There you go. And you are now going to work legs. I like to work my client's right leg first, because I do right leg, left arm, right arm, and I'm in the right place to go clockwise around the tummy. Now we know John has problems with this, with lower leg. So this one can go under here, and again, it's just a pull. Slide up the outside, as soon as you see underwear, tuck it in, and you can, John moved his hand, but you just get them to bend their elbow. Now, I just need to pull these pillows over a bit. There you go, John. Just the pockets. No pressure on the kneecap. And again, you're back to your petrissage. So this is gracilis, adductors, and then you have quads and sartorius and your ITB band out at the side. Your push-pull. It's got a little twist in it. Again, you're following the towel line. And you're kneading here, rather than letting the leg roll out, I leave my hands just to support so that it prevents that roll, just there. And then I'm using the palm, the full palm. I don't dig in with my heel. I'm just working the whole palm of my hand to really work into those quads, as far up as I can come on the top here of the leg. And then I'll switch, and I anchor my elbow into my waist, and it allows me to just transfer the weight on my legs and knead into the quad muscles. And the pulling, I did this before, great drainage move, because your direction of pull is up towards the lymph nodes. So that's just medial and anterior leg. And then again, you're hacking and cupping, covering as much of the leg as you can. It can roll out sometimes to make the lateral part difficult. That's okay. Effleurage. Now I'm sliding, my thumbs are together and they're gently coming up off the patella. When I'm up here off the top of the patella, my thumb and thenar muscles are sliding down towards the plinth. So I'm coming down lateral aspects of the knee, lateral and medial. You can do thumb friction, thumb circles. Up. and you're down to lower leg. Now this is your tibialis anterior. So your tibial bone, you can see there, the end of it, and this is where John's particularly tight. That's all. So if you are working, we'll be doing this, you can do thumb frictions, but you need to keep, so those circular moves with your thumbs that you do on trapezius. So if it's particularly tight, if it's really hot and inflamed, you don't want to do it. But this is one way I said I do work on John, that down here at tendons where it's tight, you can work up those. So your fibula bone is out here and this is the tibia. So this is this muscle that's it's tight. It's not that inflamed at the moment that I can feel, but it is really tight and you can switch hands. But there's a short range that you can do because you bump into bones. And you can do stripping, so long moves. Any of that tender? But you can feel where it's tight. Yeah? So that's a lot of impact from the sport, okay? So that's the additional one. You can support here and you can use the heel of your hand if you're doing, if hands are tired. Yeah? And again, I'll rest my elbow into my waist and allow my body to do it, not my hands. So that's the additional one for the lower legs. That would also be good for you, Paula, with running. Yeah? More the back.
Tender right at the end.
Right in here. Yeah. And again, that's where your those thumb frictions come in. So that's how you apply those moves that you use elsewhere on the body for tight, short areas. Yeah? You're not coming back to the leg, so you take towel out and you're going to do the foot. So your effleurage of the foot is however you sandwich the foot. So you can start like this and run down as long as you include the ankle. Down here you can turn whatever way works. I find it just depends on the shape and the way the foot is lying. Your ankle circles, we'll be coming back to this about mobility.
Push-pull.
Push-pull. Thank you. Dorsiflexion, plantar flexion. You're not gripping the toes. This is pushing from the balls of the foot and pulling down.
Actually, the push-pull move says fingers aligned on the top of the foot with the thumbs on the sole of the foot and push the foot.
Oh, this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'd push
But,
from
yeah,
that way
we're going
and push from that way.
Reflexology one.
Yeah. So that's where I'd align along here, and I have the sole of the foot is on my thumbs, and I push and I pull, and that means I can do a wave-like movement on the feet. That again, you're kind of getting. It's about mobility. Thinner spreading. So my fingers are like this on the soles of the foot, but I'm spreading that way. And then zigzag on the sole of the foot. And toes. You can just do top and bottom of the toes. I like to do all of them if it's comfortable. So top, bottom and sides, and I'll switch hands depending on how I can gain access. Some toes are very tight. That's okay. Then your effleurage. And you're done. Get that toe warm. And over to this leg. This one into the middle. That's secure. Whoops. You have to keep out of the way of the feet. Catching in your uniform or whatever top you're wearing. That's your full effleurage and your pétrissage. Push pull. Kneading, so support here. Your sartorius muscle comes down and across, so you can flick over it and it can be tight. And that can be uncomfortable for your client, so just mind that. And then you pull for drainage. Knees. Now the one I had shown you was this one. On the lower legs, yeah? Don't think I did that on the other one, did I? That lift. And then, did I? Yeah. Okay. And then coming back, and this was the finger circles on tibialis anterior. I know that's in your note, it's not in your note, just add it, but we're just doing it because, yeah.
You did the meeting.
I did. I'm not on camera, I'm more careful about. And then you push pull. I think it's just me. Push pull and thinner spreading. Zigzags. And make your arms move, or else your thumbs are just doing it, and they do enough as well. And then up to the toes. If somebody has a bunion or hallux valgus, this one is lovely to do. Especially if you've been in tight training boots or running shoes. Effleurage. And the towel can go that way. So then this is all wrapped in. So if you're working on a woman, this is nicely tucked in. You can leave the hand, this arm has had some damage. So follow the arm. If you have, there's space for John's arm to rest on the plinth here, so I can come up round and slide in underneath. So that's if you're doing two hands, or you can just gently support here, you don't have to lift it, and come up round the outside and down to the palm. So you're working one side, and then when you're going to work the other, you just step out when you step out to the side, the palm will roll over and you come right up here. So you're coming up the inside part of the arm. And you want to knead in the upper arm, so you're supporting the lower arm. And just not too deep here. Just allow the muscles. You can hurt until you really get to know the muscles. And then bend and support under the elbow, and you're going to knead the outside. And I'm lifting a little bit, that lets me in underneath here and right up around deltoid. And as I come down, I let the arm relax and I step out to the side. I only have to support it because most of the arm is supported on the plinth. And you can see the fingers move. Is that okay? Because this arm's been... So I'm working my fingers on the bottom and my thumbs on the top. And then I switch hands to do the other side. Is that okay? Not too tight there. And I'm in the right position to do circular movements with my thumbs around the wrist. And then as I step closer to the plinth, I can do circle. The hand will roll down without me having to lift and turn it. And then you're doing circular moves, circular frictions between your metatarsals, metacarpals even. You can do two hands together. And as you step out to the side and the palm rolls over, you're doing the thumb on the palm of the hand. And remember, our thenar muscles, if you're working on a therapist, our thenar muscles, you've heard me say them so often, they're doing loads of work. So as I do the fingers, I'll step close by so I can work and cook. I'm cooking.
Sounds like a beautiful.
No, it's just me, there. And come up round the fingers. And I swap hands, just depends on the hands. To come round. You go round, you've got tendons on the top and the bottom and muscle running up in to move the fingers. You have energy lines on the sides of the fingers, so by doing top and bottom and sides, you're covering all of those. You're covering the meridian lines as well as your tendons. And then an effleurage to finish, up round the shoulder, down. And you just cup and you get a little stretch on the shoulder. And you lift the towel out, up and over. If you need to secure that elbow, you can just tuck it under. It acts a bit like a sling. It's not allowing even on the plinth. There's not the same space, which is perfect in terms of showing you moves, but this arm doesn't have the space here, the support here. So that means that to hold once the arm's out from under the towels, I'll support it and keep it in place with my hip. Again, supporting under the elbow, and you want to knead up around deltoid, in around the back of the arm, and then you can switch, stand out to the side. Just make sure you keep your thumbs and fingers from digging into the armpit. Slide down, let the hand roll up like that, and the plinth will still support the arm, and I'm holding at the wrist. Tight forearms. and your circular moves around the wrist. We've got like carpal tunnel syndrome and tight, especially because of tight fist work. Stroking between the metacarpals, 2 fingers, or doing them one at a time. Stepping out to the side, palm turns over. And thumb works. And stepping back. And you get to stand up straight because the elbow can bend, their elbow can bend. So no bending over for you or your back will be tired. And then that was the shoulder finger, was it? Yeah, sorry about that. And this is where you can see you definitely need to use the support of the towel, but I'll hook it in above the elbow like that because I'm going to do the abdomen and I need this bit loose. It's like we talk about butterflies and nerves and all of that, so it's really important that you stay connected with this one. And applying the oil. I like to apply it in circular moves. For the most part, where possible, you keep the whole of your hand on the body, wherever you are. Out to the sides and turning to this side. So that's your effleurage. You're doing your reinforced diamond. So I always leave my foot hand where the little finger side is. If you have your thumb, you see the way it sticks out. So you don't need it disappearing under towels. So diamond, down, up, down. So there's not much of a turn. If you're finding you're trying to swivel a lot at the wrists, you're trying too hard. I'm not counting, I have no idea. I'm distracted with that thing. I think we go into colon strokes first, don't we?
Yeah, colon strokes.
Yeah. So colon strokes, so between the belly button and the hip, halfway, about halfway, a third to half of the way, is where your appendix and your ileocecal valve are, and where the small and large intestine meet, or the small intestine meets into the large intestine. And you come up straight towards the ribs and you turn right. That's your hepatic flexure. Be careful coming across here, you have a descending aorta, and you come over to here and you do turn right there again, and that's your splenic flexure. So flexure just being a bend, and down the descending colon. So ascending, transverse and descending. Don't come in and put pressure over the middle. That's in over where bladder is, or for woman, bladder and uterus. Then palm circles. Palm circles, I'm resting my hand, so my fingers are resting. This is very much for the small intestine. It's where we can be, when we're nervous, very windy, very uncomfortable, and there's 22 foot of it in there, so there's lots of it to work. With hairs, you just have to make sure you don't pull them. Women don't mind as much as men, but your side lifts.
Yes, side lifts.
And you're covering right up around the ribs. And just turn your body. When you're turning your body, I think with only one exception, you always make sure you're facing your client. Up and out. This one is, I think, called the pine tree, just because it's up in a V, and out over the ribs. And if that's not comfortable because of the size of your hands and the size of the abdomen, then just do circles. And then gently rest your hands and let them get lighter and lighter and lighter and come off. Leave one on If you've moved underwear, then bring it back up into place. I just tucked that in, and then second hand off, towel down, and gently rest. And leave your hands on, and then you just down to shoulders. If you have, now when you've turned somebody from prone to supine, so that's from face down to face up, and you're lining them up, you can come in if somebody's got long hair and you can do this. If you haven't done it then, you'll do it now. So you'll have done, sorry, before I even put on oil, you'll have come in to get the hair like this, up and out of your way. So you can bring your hands in that way, and all of those little, even not long hair, but even hairs like yours, so just to get it up and out of the way to give you free access here without pulling the hair. You're below the clavicles. Easy to see the clavicle on John. So it's coming straight out here in your strokes, round the top of the shoulders. There is oil. You have done the shoulders, the arms and the back. So it's just here for the chest area that you'll need a little bit of oil. Round, in, up. And you can come up as far as the occipital ridge and slide out if you didn't want to put oil in the hair, or you can come all the way up through the hair. Knuckling.
Yep.
So it's circular knuckles, it's not circular wrists. Out over pectoralis major, minor, subclavius, out over deltoid, round into trapezius. And you can do your knuckling with your palms face up, or you can turn them and you can do them palms face down. I find the shape of somebody's neck dictates which, or it might be both. And if I want to come up the side of the neck, I always have palms up. So that's your knuckling.
Alternate stroking, inside spine.
Okay, where did I put that one in? So when you're coming round and you've done the knuckling here, you slide your hands in and you lift, with the heels of your hands, you lift the head up onto the heels of your hands. So now John's head is resting on the heel of my hands. So now I can alternately stroke up either side of the cervical vertebra up as far as the occipital ridge. And then you come as far as the occipital ridge, and I have the head resting on the pads of my fingers as I do circular moves.
It says approach across the chest then.
Okay, but this
Yeah.
is the one we
Yeah.
did earlier. I said, remember when we did?
No, the three are finger bottom. And then approach across the chest again.
Top of the arms. So
Yeah.
coming back to this, and what's the
Yeah.
next one?
Cover the
Top of
chest,
chest.
and
Okay.
slide hands under the neck and lift the head.
Okay, so I'm just, okay. So this is covering here up. Now, I don't like my throat covered, so I suggest a lot of people don't. So just leave a little V there, but do tuck in the shoulders. But I can still slide in here in the neck, and I can turn my hands. And is that when I did the,
No, then you have, right, so slide hands under the neck and lift the head into the palms and frictions on the occipital ridge.
okay, so that's what I had gone into.
Yeah.
So now I have the head held in my palms. I'm doing my frictions on the occipital ridge
Through the
and
scalp.
through the scalp. So you'll do 1 or 2 rows. So now I'm on the occipitalis muscle,
Mm-hmm.
and when I come up here, I'm on that tendon, that aponeurosis we talked about yesterday.
Okay.
That's over the scalp. So I want to cover all of the scalp that's loose. So I'm just following the hairline, spread my fingers. This is over temporalis muscle. And now I'm back on that tendon. The easiest way I find is just to switch my hands and do this. Some people interlace their fingers, some people do this. It depends on how high or low you're sitting. you can do either one.
So it's hand slide down to the neck, stroke through the hair, and then gentle pull on the hair.
And the gentle pull on the hair is just getting your fingers in, catching it, lift. It's about lifting the scalp and letting it go. Hands in, lift, and let it go. So if there's longer hair, I do it out to the sides. As there's only this, I just do the diagonals on the top. And then you're done.